The boys and I were in a Twitter space the other day, and we eventually took a conversation turn that I didn't expect. We started talking about Kevin Love. Now, admittedly, I did not know a whole lot about Kevin Love. However, after doing a deep dive and seeing some of the insane performances he put up on a mediocre Timberwolves team, I was surprised and frankly shocked at how good Kevin Love actually was, and today that's what we're going to be discussing. Kevin Love would play college basketball at UCLA with fellow NBA players like Russell Westbrook and Darren Collison. As a Bruin, he would average 17 points and 10 rebounds on 55% shooting. He captivated audiences with his insane rebounding ability, having 23 games over 10 rebounds and a 16-point, 21-rebound performance on January 26th of 2008. The Bruins would make it all the way to the NCAA tournament, and they would make it all the way to the national semifinals. And although they would lose, Kevin Love would perform pretty well with 12 points, 9 boards, and 3 blocks. Going into the 2008 NBA draft, it was a foregone conclusion who was going to go number 1. Therefore, when Derrick Rose would be selected by his hometown Chicago Bulls at number 1, it would not be a shock. However, 4 picks later, the Memphis Grizzlies would select the best power forward in the entire draft class, Kevin Love, and the rest is history. The things that made Kevin Love really good is his insane rebounding ability, nearly averaging a double-double as a rookie, and by the time his third season came around, he was averaging around 15 rebounds per game, winning his first rebounding champion, being a first-time All-Star, along with winning the Most Improved Player award. One thing that set Kevin Love apart from every other power forward in the league was his build. In 2008, the average height and weight for a power forward was 6'9" and 237 pounds. However, Kevin Love was shorter and heavier, being 6'8" and 250, making his box out unlike many others. Another thing that made Kevin Love so good was his passing ability. His ability to grab a board and immediately spin around and launch it all the way down court to an open man was less heard of for a big man. Nowadays, you see players like Jokic with elite passing ability for a big man. However, it was revolutionary for the time, and Kevin Love was a pioneer of it. It was also during the 2010-2011 NBA season he would record a 30-30 game, being the 19th player in the history of the NBA to do so. It was on November 12th of 2010, he would grab 30 rebounds and would put up 31 points. He was also the first player to grab 30 rebounds since Charles Barkley in 1996. It was also during this year that he would break Moses Malone's record for consecutive double-doubles at 51 and came just 2 double-doubles short of breaking Elvin Hayes' record. We also can't go without talking about his three-point shot. While it wasn't super great starting his career, just 10% in the 2008-9 season, he would jump up to 33% and then eventually 41%. And for the rest of his career, he would jump around the late 30s. Although Kevin Love was doing very well at this time, even finishing 6th in the MVP voting in 2012 and 11th in 2014, the Timberwolves were really bad. When he was a rookie, they would go 24-58, and in the next 2 seasons, they would go 15-67 and 17-65, respectively. However, losing brings draft picks, and the Timberwolves had a lot of them at this time. In the 09 draft, they would have selections 5, 6, 18, and 28 in the first round. They would select 3 point guards, swinging very far and managing to miss by a mile, drafting Ricky Rubio at 5. Ricky Rubio wouldn't actually play until 2011, and by then Kevin Love was seemingly discouraged already by the losing he and the Wolves had faced. Johnny Flynn was picked at 6, and due to his injury, he had limited 53 games in year 2, and due to the injury, he had taken a clear step down. The Timberwolves would take Ty Lawson at the 18th slot and would trade him to Denver, which would turn out to be the piece the Wolves were missing. Wayne Ellington would be taken at 28th, and despite being a good shooter, he would never blossom into the young star the Timberwolves were looking for. In the 2009-2010 NBA season, the Timberwolves would go 15-67 and would have 3 selections in the upcoming draft. They would take Wesley Johnson at 4. Johnson was horribly inefficient and was never a double-digit scorer on the Minnesota Timberwolves, with his most memorable moment of his career being this.
That's the real fun in all this. Look at Johnson's reaction while he's on the ground. He's like, oh, you got me. I know I'm going to be on not top 10, and Harden's going to be on top plays and the whole thing. Clippers tall guy, he's got his hand over his mouth on the sideline, and Johnson, he can just laugh as he runs down court. Here's DeAndre Jordan. His facial expression.
Sorry about that, I just thought that was kind of funny. At 16 and 23 in the 2010 draft, they would take Luke Babbitt and Trevor Booker before trading both of them. In 2011, they would draft Derrick Williams. He'd spent 2 years with the team and was relatively solid, and after no first-rounders in 2012 and trading both first-round selections in 2013, by the time 2014 came around, he would be gone. Kevin Love's story in Minnesota ends in the 2014 NBA draft lottery, because the Cavaliers would be given the number 1 selection for the 3rd time in 4 years. With that selection, they would take the best college basketball player in the country, that being Andrew Wiggins, and at this very same time, the Timberwolves were aware of the fact Kevin Love wanted out and were figuring out different trade destinations and avenues they might want to go. Also at this time, the Cavaliers would sign LeBron James in July of 2014. The Minnesota Timberwolves and Cavs would eventually strike up a deal in an effort to speed up the process of becoming a championship contender. The Timberwolves would receive Andrew Wiggins and Anthony Bennett from Cleveland, along with Thaddeus Young from Philadelphia. Meanwhile, the Philadelphia 76ers got Luke Mbah-a-Moute and Alexei Shavid from Minnesota. Minnesota, and a 2015 first-round pick from Cleveland, and the Cavaliers would get none other than Kevin Love, and this would mark the end of the Kevin Love era in Minnesota, and it was honestly for the best.